And you can see now that we're getting further up on the blank, our diameter is smaller, so I'm not going down near as far. I'd rather have to come back and check it, put it back on the reamer, than go too far, than make the hole too large and be too sloppy and waste a cork ring. Get nice and snug. And again, these cork rings, the wide ones that you see, they're 1/2 inch wide. The accent pieces are 1/4 of an inch. You can get accents or colored pieces in 1/2 inch as well. It's totally up to you on what pattern you want to go after. Ultimately, what's most important is the length and the diameter of the cork. Depending on how you like to fish, if you're a big guy or a small guy like me, it's going to affect how long you want your handle. The easiest way to do it is just pick up a blank or any other of your fishing rods and one of your favorite rods and just see where your hand lies. Just act like you're fishing, just put the rod against your chest, or act like you're making a cast, and act like you're reeling. Just see where your hand lies. Chances are, your rear grip is going to fall between 8 to 10 inches. Average is 9, but that's the whole point about going custom. Is you want the handle to be the exact length and diameter to feel exactly how you want it to feel, and feel comfortable all day for all-day fishability. Especially when you're working, if you're inshore and you're throwing a lot of soft plastics or artificials, making 100 casts a minute almost. You want that handle to be just right. If a lot of fishermen put it right against their forearm. Some like it to come past it. Some people don't have it against their forearm at all. Length plays into those factors, and it's really all about how you want the rod to feel and perform. I've got a checkered piece of burl cork that's going to go on as my last accent. These few rings are going to be my foregrip here in a few minutes. Nice and snug. A little too loose. So that's just what you don't want to happen. You can make it work by putting some masking tape on the blank, but the whole point about going custom is getting a rod as exact as possible, and it's up to you how precise you want to be. But personally, I've got more cork rings here. I'm just going to shape one out that fits correctly. All right, much better. All right, now I'm going to take my reel seat, see how that looks and feels. This reel seat here is actually a skeleton seat. I glued up the bottom half last night, but I left the hood off to show you how I built it. You can get these wood inserts, and then you buy the hoods individually. Another way to customize your reel seat and your rod. It's all up to you. You don't have to get that detailed. You can buy reel seats just like this. They come already decorated with the hoods and the skeleton already attached and epoxied in place. If you want to add another level to your rod, you can mix and match hoods and inserts. I thought this carbon fiber looks pretty neat against the wood, especially with our cork ring handle. When we shape this down, everything will go together smoothly. Go. Nice and tight. All right, should be the last pieces of our foregrip. Slide them down, nice and tight. There we go. There's our cork ring handle. Before we epoxy it up, we know every ring is sized accordingly to where it's at on the blank. So when we take these, actually we won't take these rings off the blank at all. All we'll do before we glue them on is just slide them up. And then as we epoxy them, we'll slide them down one by one. If you take them off the blank at this point, you're going to get them out of order. And again, you got to remember, each of these rings is now tapered just like the blank is underneath it. And it fits nice and smooth, nice and tight. We've got room for epoxy, but it's not too loose. Now that we have all our cork rings sized and shaped correctly, I'm going to go ahead and slide them back down the blank. And we're ready to mix our epoxy. Now you can use Rod Bond or Flex Coat's rod building glue. I prefer the rod building glue for the cork rings. It's more liquid, whereas opposed to the Rod Bond being a paste. These syringes by Flex Coat are absolutely awesome. It's a real easy, quick way to make sure you've got equal parts. It's just a 1-to-1 ratio. You've got a resin and you have a hardener. And make sure you've got the right ones. Here's a rod wrapping finish. Here, we got part A and part B of our rod building glue. Now the first thing I do before I mix them up and actually put them into our mixing cup, I want to make sure that both syringes have the same amount of epoxy in them. You can see that these do, they're both brand new syringes. They're both at 12 cc's. So I know when I get down to mixing them, we'll have equal parts as long as I stop at the same part on both syringes. There we go. Use about 4 cc's of both, or of each, that time around. And if we need more, we can mix it up. All I'm going to do is take a stirring stick, just mix it up. Rod building glue is pretty thick. You can actually mix this on a paper plate. I prefer to go ahead and mix it in a cup. Less waste, and just makes it easier to keep everything clean. Mix it up real good. It'll get cloudy and then clear again. You want that reaction to start taking place.